What happened to the 76ers? The 76ers suffered their third consecutive loss. This one, Monday night, a 132 to 123 loss to the struggling Houston Rockets on James Harden's return night. I'll talk to you about that and more when we get right back.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. Well, look, y'all, today was a tough one. I mean, an extremely tough one. Actually, it was last night. Just early in the morning for me, but actually last night was tough. Because, you look at the Sixers, this was a game where James Harden came back. A game that he was playing in Houston, a place that he played 9 seasons at. He won 3 scoring titles. He won the 2018 MVP award at. So, he was saying it was just a regular game, but it was bigger than that to him, right? You know that. And then the Sixers come out and they struggle. And there was a lot of reasons why they struggled. I felt like, late in the game, it was one of those things where James Harden, early on, he was trying to be a facilitator. But then late in the game, it just seems like James was taking ill-advised shots. There was times when there was one play, for instance, with 5.4 seconds left in regulation. James Harden has an opportunity. The Sixers have an opportunity. The game is tied to win it. And James is dribble, and then all of a sudden, he shoots the ball and he gets it blocked. Tobias Harris is wide open in the corner. Joel has a player guarding him. Joel set a screen, so he was close to James. He could have passed the ball to him, but the correct pass would have been to give the ball to Tobias, who was wide open. And I just felt like James, I could read you his stats. He had 21 points on 4 for 19 shooting, 4 of 11 on threes. He made 9 of 10 free throws. He had 7 assists. He had 7 turnovers. He had 4 rebounds. But in the fourth quarter, he shot 2 for 9. Joel was 3 for 4. And Tobias was 1 for 1. Now, when you look at Tobias had a fire game. Tobias Harris on this night, he had 27 points. He was 9 for 15 shooting. He made 7 of 8 threes. And so those 7 threes are tied his career high. The 8 attempts, were good, but then his 27 points were a season high. But it just seemed like in that fourth quarter, he didn't get shots. He got 1 shot in the fourth, and he got 3 shots in the 2 overtimes. This game went in the double overtime, 132 to 123 in double overtime. Joel Embiid fouled out in the first overtime, so they were kind of like at a loss. But it just looked like Joel Embiid fouled out, and they weren't really going to Tobias. And I felt like that was the difference in the game. It really was. Well, not only that, I shouldn't just say that. That was one of the differences. Another difference was that the 76ers basically couldn't make any stops when they needed to. And they couldn't take advantage of their opportunities. Like, they had several opportunities. One was, I felt like James late in the game, he was trying to take over things when he should have been passing. I also felt like it was one of those things where the Sixers just couldn't make stops when they needed to. They just couldn't. They couldn't. I mean, when we look at the points in the paint, because they just dribble, getting wherever they want. The Rockets outshot the Sixers outscored the Sixers 52-40 in regards to points in the paint. So it just seemed like they did whatever they wanted to do, whatever they wanted to do. Now, when I get back from this little commercial break, I want to talk to you guys about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid had another phenomenal game, but there's a trend starting to come again. And what that trend is, it seems like when Joel Embiid isn't on the floor, his team is struggling. And that's something that the 76ers need to resolve. That's something they need to resolve when they get back. But when I get back, we'll talk about that. Right now, I want to talk to you guys about prize picks. There's something about prize picks that I really like. And I keep saying this again. And here's my intro for starters, right? When I'm talking about Luka Doncic to score more than 26.5 points, LeBron James to have more than 7.5 rebounds, Kevin Durant, sorry KD, but for you to have less than 6'5" assists, and Steph Curry to have more than 3.5 3-pointers made. See, the thing about prize pick is you can pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go score more or less than their prize pick projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you and the projections available. Prize Pick offers projections on any sport that you may watch. That includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, and on and on. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. It's safe and fast to withdraw. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Now, this is what you need to do to get it. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First time users can receive the 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code locked on. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit 50, PrizePick will give you 50. Don't forget to enter the promo code locked on at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. I'm telling you guys, do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Now, when we talk about Joel Embiid, there's a trend going on again. So, Joel Embiid played 35 minutes and 23 seconds, right? He kind of fouled out. There was a time when he had to go to the locker room and get blood off of him. Like he had blood, so it was like in the third quarter on him. So what happens is he goes to the locker room, he comes back, and then he plays. Now the thing is, Joel Embiid had 39 points, like I said earlier. He made 12 with 21 shots. He was 14 to 17 from the foul line. He had 5 turnovers, 2 blocks, right? He had 2 steals, 3 assists, 6 fouls. But Joel was a +8 tonight, right? Joel was actually the only player on the team. No, I take that back. Joel and James Harden were the only 2 players on the team with a plus. Joel had a +8. James had a +4. Now the problem is when you took Joel out of the game, Paul Reed a -8 in 16 minutes 11 seconds. Montrezl Harrell a -6 in 5 minutes and 12 seconds. So we're starting to see this trend again where Joel is one of those things where you got to keep him on the floor. And he's getting tired right now. He's doing this. He's trying to do whatever he can, but you got to keep him on the floor to be competitive. And so it's one of those things where the Sixers have to decide what they're going to do as far as with the backup big position. We talked about this before, but it's one of those things where it's crazy because when Joel wasn't playing, these guys looked okay. But now it's like they're not really playing that well defensively. Now, I think that some of it. Now, here I will say this about Paul Reed. Although his plus minus was bad, he did have 3 block shots, so that's good, right? but his plus minus back teams are still going on runs. Now, the thing is, I will say that aside from this Houston game, the other two teams that they played, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they are quality teams. So these are teams that you can say, like, hey, if they lose, I understand it because the level of play is going up. But you look at last night's game, Monday night's game, and you have to ask yourself, like, how in the world did they lose this one? Or how in the world that? Now, in a way, this is a team that's young, talking about the Houston Rockets, is also a team that that if you're not careful, you're going to lose. You can lose. And I feel like the 76ers are a little older group. They have some sprinkle of young guys, but for the most part, their rotation guys and their starters are older. And I felt like those young guys were able to get dribble penetration. They were more athletic. They can do a lot of things. And I felt like that impacted the Sixers. I mean, I really did. I felt like that impacted the Sixers. So when we get back, we're going to talk about some other things. Now, moving forward, the 76ers got to get this thing together. Like I said, they lost 3 games in a row. James Harden, he looked rusty. Let's just say he looked rusty. He made some bad decisions late in the game. Now, again, these are shots that he would have made back in the day. Seriously. If this was James Harden, Houston Rockets game, oh, he would have been burying that and the place would have been electric, going crazy. He's back. He's back. Well, he's a little bit older. He's coming off an injury. His timing isn't quite down, even with passing the ball and stuff. So those are tough shots. But at the same time, they have 3 days they're going to practice. They have other things that they're able to do before they play. Before they play the Los Angeles Lakers on Friday, the first of a 7-game homestand. So the Sixers have to get James reacclimated with his teammates. And then the crazy part is they're still not there because then you got to get Tyrese Maxey reacclimated. The one thing I don't really understand that the Sixers aren't doing is how they're not really playing Matisse. Now, I get it. Matisse played 7 minutes and 10 seconds. He didn't attempt a shot. He had 1 rebound, and that was an offensive rebound. And that was it. That was it. But before, it's like they were getting them more minutes and some things. But, I guess you can argue that, even though I don't understand, I guess you can argue that, hey, look, he has to do some more than just get an offensive rebound and get more playing time. But, the 76ers, they got to get out of this rut. And when you talk to them, it all sounds so easy. All we got to do is move the ball. We got to be more aggressive. Well, now it seems like it might be just bigger than that. You guys got bad problems. Maybe they may need to tweak the roster, so to speak. But, it is what it is. It was a bad loss, 132 to 123. Joel Embiid had a game high, 39. Tobias Harris had 27. Harden had 21. DeAnthony Melton had 9 points, and PJ Tucker had 3. And Shake Milton off the bench had 11, and Daniel House had 4. Paul Reed had 6, and Furkan Korkmaz had 3. George Niang did not play. He did not play. But look, I want to thank you guys for listening. And I want you guys to have a blessed day. Tomorrow is going to be D's coming back. So you guys will have fun, chatting, listening to me and him chat. Um, and, wherever you get your podcast, make sure you get the Locked On 76ers podcast because you can get it there too. And when you go to our YouTube channel, Locked On 76ers YouTube channel, make sure you click on that Liberty Bell and you can become a subscriber. You can follow me on Twitter at Pompey on Sixers. You can find my co-host, even though he's not here tonight, Divine Givens at Divine G975, and you can watch his radio show, the Divine Givens Show, on 97.5 FM, typically from 6 to 10 p.m. And then you can read my articles in the Philadelphia Inquirer and Inquirer.com. I want to thank y'all for listening, and have a great day. Peace.